This here is the Google Pixel 9 Pro XL, and I've been using this device for a week and I'm now ready with my full review. So let's buckle up and start. The Pixel 9 Pro XL has been released August this year, 2024, which is a bit weird because all the previous generation released when the latest iteration of Android is ready, and right now Android 15 is still in the beta. So this is one of the major changes for this year, but it's not the only change. This Pixel here has a whole new design and it was released at a price point of 1,200 euro, which is actually quite a lot of money. But there are more new things than just releasing it with the Android 14 and of course the new design. There is a brand new 5x optical camera, a brand new ultra-wide camera, also an updated selfie camera, and there is also a brand new modem that can finally reach high speeds on mobile data, which was not the case with the previous generations. And I want to start with something important for this review. Sonia, the Google Pixel product manager, said that Google knows this phone isn't designed for speed and feed, and I'm just quoting what she said. Google knows that the phone is not going to be a killer in benchmarks, but they've designed this for a everyday, regular, average user operation, and this is also the emphasis I'm going to put in this review. Also, Google admitted to have a pain point with previous generations not being able to open apps fast enough, and they are claiming to have addressed this issue. All of these things I'm going to test in this review, and I want to also, guys, give you the other context, just not about the camera, because phones are just so much more than just the camera. And I know the modern concept of a smartphone is just you're getting a camera with a phone attached to it, and this is so true for phones like the Vivo X100 Ultra and the Xiaomi 14 Ultra and the Oppo Find X7 Ultra, but in this case it's a bit different. And before I start the review, I want to tell you why this phone is special and what is actually so special about this Pixel and Pixel in general. And for this we need to go way back in the past, 6 years before the first ever Pixel phone was introduced in 2016. The first Pixel phone was released in 2016, but 6 years prior that Google had the Nexus, and they worked with Huawei, with LG and Samsung and Motorola to get these Nexus phones out. But then Google decided to end this, and in 2016 they released the first ever Pixel phone that was actually assembled by HTC. And this first phone was very special. It's also the reason why Pixel phones are special in general. And in this video I want to make this connection from the past to the current times so that we are really able to understand why Pixel phones are special. And by the way, I'm not Team Pixel, I buy the phones with my own money, and the intro is shot with the Pixel 9 Pro XL cinematic blur, guys, so it is the real thing that you can see on the screen. But then again, let's go to the basics. Why was the first Pixel phone so special? In 2016, when Google released the Pixel phone, it was based on Android 7.1 Nougat, and it really provided a pure Android experience, Android 7.1 Nougat. But this wasn't the key thing. The other key thing is in 2016, you were getting the Pixel phone with a Google Assistant that was actually, still is, to this day, the AI bot created by Google that can scrap the internet and just give you some very insight, very meaningful information and just answer your questions. Of course, all of that has been upgraded through the years, but this was also not the reason that made Pixel phone special. There is something else, and in this video I'm going to talk about this and I'm going to link it to this phone because I do believe that it is important to understand why Pixel phones exist, and again, why are they so special. Let's go back. In 2009, the most popular camera phone in Flickr was the iPhone. So the iPhone was killing it, and people used the iPhone to take photos and videos more than they used DSLRs like a Canon and Fuji. What is very important is all of this changed 16th of April 2014. This is 2 years before the Pixel, when actually Google released the Google camera on the Play Store, so everybody was able to download it and just see, what they can do with this. 2 years later, in 2016, when Google released the first Pixel, the Google Pixel camera team with Mark Levoy created something that was really truly special, because they introduced things that were never seen in a phone. And this blew up so big that 5 years ago, if you had only 200 euros and you buy yourself a mid-range phone like a Redmi, you would immediately go and download a Google camera mode, put it on your phone to just take the best out of the sensor to allow for custom configurations on the camera and all the 3 lenses. And this only was kickstarted because Google did it. So this is very important, and this is so special because this connects the first Pixel to this here. The way I see it with the Pixel phones, we have 2 big eras. We have the first Pixel phones that had the Qualcomm Snapdragon, and then Google introduced the Tensor, G1, G2, G3. Now we have the G4, which is 4nm, and it's still inferior in most of the things like benchmarks and 3D gaming whatsoever and etc. But it has a custom built NPU from Google, so that's why I'm separating the first pixel era with the Snapdragons and then the second pixel era with the Tensors. And right now, with a high level of confidence, I can say that this Google Pixel 9 Pro XL is the best Pixel out there from the second generations with the Tensor, and overall probably the best Pixel phone ever made. If you want to understand all the nitty-gritty details, then please watch the full video, and if you'd like to support the channel, thank you so much. Now let's start. Let's talk about the real usage. One of the first ever video I did with the Google Pixel 9 Pro XL was comparing it with my main daily driver, which is the Samsung Galaxy S24 Ultra, doing standard things like opening X, Twitter, socials, streaming YouTube, editing photos, having phone calls, recording videos. I was really interested to check how slower or quicker is the Google Pixel 9 Pro XL, and I was really fascinated to understand, and for these everyday activities, even gameplay, right, to some extent, the Google Pixel 9 Pro XL was holding up quite well against the S24 Ultra, losing only with 1% of the battery. Now let's talk about performance under heavy duty and multitasking. As one of the tests I did was just do that, guys. I was playing a 4K 60 FPS HDR YouTube and picture-in-picture, connected the phones to the same operator using 5G, so no Wi-Fi, started navigation, and then of course also a Facebook Messenger video call, because I do believe that this stresses the phone out max. Now, this isn't a realistic scenario, but I wanted to do this to understand how much heat can the Pixel tolerate. And in my test, actually, I got really surprised, as the Pixel was able to run almost at 49 Celsius, which isn't really great for longevity, but also it's important to understand how good the Pixel is in handling this. And in my heavy duty performance test, apparently the Pixel won. Why? Well, because the S24 Ultra fork closed 2 times. This was the first time here after I adjusted the thermal threshold tolerance and upped it with another 2 degrees Celsius. The S24 Ultra kept going, but when it reaches 45 Celsius, then I do believe it's the end of it. It really wants to protect the battery. The Pixel continued and was able to just astonish me, delivering the same performance as the S24 Ultra, connected to the 5G, playing a YouTube HDR video, even having a phone call navigation on this. So even for heavy duty multitasking and under high load and performance, it was able to provide stable results, which was really surprising because I honestly expected less from the Tensor G4. Now, don't get me wrong. In terms of benchmarking and raw processing power, such as compressing videos or exporting videos, the A Gen 3 and the A Gen 2 will be way faster than the Tensor G4, as you can see in this dedicated test that I did here. Almost 50% faster for the A Gen 3. I then ran the 3D mark, and of course there were no surprises here. The Google Pixel 9 Pro XL scored lower, 30, 40 to 50% every time, compared to the A Gen 2, the S23 Ultra in the middle, and the S24 Ultra. I did run all the 3D mark tests. At some point the Pixel heated up and thus got a very bad score in the Geekbench. But also the Pixel 9 Pro XL uses UFS 3.1 storage and not UFS 4, and thus also has lower speed in terms of reading and writing to the memory. Also, the N2 scores are definitely lower than what you get from an A Gen 3 phone. The big question is, like, will you do this every day in a real use case performance? Ask yourself this if you consider to buy the device. And I did test also emulation, PS2 emulation running native resolution with the S24 Ultra, and honestly the Pixel 9 Pro XL is absolutely capable to emulate PS2 when you use the native resolution, and even going 2x resolution of the PS2 and even 3x. But the moment you hit up 4x the PS2 resolution, well, the S24 Ultra can still give you 45 to 50 FPS, and the Pixel 9 Pro XL is done. It's gonna go like 20-25, so it's not so playable, and the sound will start to get muffled and garbled. So again, the A Gen 3 with the Adreno 750 is way more powerful than the Tensor G4 with the Mali 715. This is the pure reality, and it's gonna work with emulation fine, but most probably not if you start cranking up this resolution. Now let's talk about the display. It is very bright. The maximum brightness, peak needs brightness, it's 3000, but you can only achieve this in a very specific situation in Asia movies. The high brightness mode is 2000, guys, and this is absolutely enough for an everyday activity. As you can see in this video, under direct bright sunlight, everything is viewable, the colors are very vivid, and what is very important is that the screen did not really dim, which is one of my biggest ever complaints with the Galaxy S24 Ultra. I do though have an issue with this display, and this is just a bit with the software. It is very small in terms of fonts, but the moment you just up a font, not all the apps will adjust. The other option is to increase the whole display, but then it looks a bit more natural, and there is a problem with padding, and you can try to adjust this via the DPI settings inside the developer option, but it's a bit weird, so the whole resolution is a bit weird. Overall though, it is a very capable display, again very important, very bright, under direct sunlight, and also something worth mentioning, it's able to display HDR videos in the picture-in-picture mode, if you care about this, because the S24 Ultra and other Android phones apparently cannot do so. Now let's talk about AI, because AI is one of the main selling point of the Google Pixel 9 Pro XL. It does come with Gemini Advanced, 1 year free with 2 TB of storage for Google One, but guys, the place where I live, I was not able to get that offer, so this was really very much disappointing. And by the way, Gemini Advanced really replaces the current Google Assistant. You see, everything here is Gemini Advanced. Let me quickly show you a demo of Gemini Advanced and why I do believe it's quite good. So holding up the power button like this, as you can see, a call is going to be initiated, and this call will stay on even when you minimize the app. Can you tell me something? Can I ask you something?
Absolutely. What's on your mind?
I've heard recently that there are some rumors Oasis are getting back together, like the two brothers Liam Gallagher and Noel Gallagher. Can you check this out for me? Is this like a fake thing or it's real?
Yep, those rumors are true. After a pretty long break, Liam and Noel Gallagher from Oasis are officially reuniting. They've even announced a tour happening next summer.
As you can tell, I did choose this on a purpose, because Oasis, the Gallagher brothers, just announced a few days ago that they're coming back together. So what I wanted to show is like how quick Gemini is able to search for information that is current information right now, and also how intuitive this whole thing works. But there are many other things. One of them being the Pixel Studio. And Pixel Studio is a whole new brand tool from Google that can help you generate some stuff. And I already tried to generate some things, guys. For example, take a look. This here is One UI 7 Android 15, right? You can go cartoon, you can do a comics, you can do a movie, and plenty of other things. So One UI 7 Premiere, you know, it generates really things based on your inputs. I also generated one of my ever favorite games, The Prince of Persia Shadow and the Flame, and you can just see it really can just sometimes go and fetch images, but then also really create things. And there are many more things like this incorporated, like this new Pixel screenshot application. Let me show you how this works. I have all my screenshots here, and I can now ask for something. Give me a photo of a person. It will analyze, and right now it's gonna bring my friend Ross from System House. Hi there. AI is also building in the camera and editing photos. So let's say I want to shoot 8K. If I go and choose 8K, the video boost will be turned by default. And what is this thing, video boost, guys? It's gonna help you to stabilize your video, to somehow fix the color, the lighting, and the thing is, wait, this is important, this is not gonna happen on device. So right now the only option for 8K videos which is supported in 30 FPS is for you to use the video boost. But you can also try to choose video boost on other things, like for example 4K 60 FPS. This is a photo shot with the Pixel. You can only do 30x, unlike 100x in all the other phones. If you click on edit, there is something very interesting, and you have to go inside the tools. There's gonna be this new function called zoom enhance. I'm gonna zoom in like this, right? And now I can crop and enhance it. And this works almost like out of a old retro sci-fi movie. This here is the original, all right? And this is the enhanced photo. So Google is heavily using AI to try to help you edit your photos. You of course also have the magic wizard here with the magic eraser, so I can just hold a finger like this on the tree, all right, select it. Now I'm gonna click the erase button. And something, guys, that is very important, the Google Pixel 9 Pro XL is quicker compared to the 8 Pro. 8 Pro was taking quite much more time in just creating things like this. So you have here several options, right? You can just see it was really able to replace it, I think in a very nice way, and just create something that was actually not there. So AI heavily involved in this phone, almost everywhere, interacting with Gemini, editing your photos, shooting your videos, even browsing your screenshots. The Google Pixel 9 Pro XL has a 5060 mAh battery. It does also support 37 watts wired charging and 23 watts wireless charging, guys, so it's not the fastest charging around. This is what the menu looks from the battery usage. Now let's take a look at my timings. Friday, for example, I did a 4 hours 31, okay, which was not great. 5 hours and 6 minutes for Saturday, Sunday 7 hours 29, and then Monday right now I do have 3 hours and 20, but I started here all the time, by the way. You can just see I only started at 100% on Friday. The thing is, guys, this phone really gets me through the day. This morning I was on 50%, right now it's almost 2 p.m. and I still have 36%, which is something that I'm not able to achieve with the Galaxy S24 Ultra for multiple reasons. One being that the A Gen 3 is really very powerful and of course also very hungry. You can also reverse wirelessly charge other devices with 13 watts. We have adaptive charging on and off, no protection, sophisticated things like we've seen in the One UI. So far I'm getting a very good battery life with the Pixel, using it at 120 Hz and the highest available display resolution. So again, no miracles here, right? But the Tensor G4 is really very forgiving in terms of battery usage. So if you're not doing some graphically intensive thing with your phone, like playing games whatsoever, you should be able to get a very good battery life. Now let's talk about the camera. This is a 4K 60 from the main camera, and you can see down below all the lenses going from the ultra wide to the 10x and 20x. This is a video directly shot on the Pixel. As you can see, the transition aren't that great, and there's also a lot of noise when you try to jump in, so it's not ideal, it's a bit harsh. Stabilization test while riding my bike, it is a rather stable video, but I don't believe it's even close to the S24 ultra stable footage, or even compares to the other Chinese phones, for example. Now, a video in a twilight situation where I'm starting to zoom in again, you can just see how much jitter there is. When I start to pan around the camera, the video isn't just great. It requires a lot of light to be able to produce some nice results. But let me show you some of the night footage. Although I like the ambience of the colors, sometimes I do believe that it drop frames, and overall there is less detail, lack of detail, and also a lot of noise. And every time I try to zoom in, you can just see how the image degrades. The worst thing here is the jitter. When I'm trying to move the phone around, it has a lot of jitter, a lot of stutter, and when you try to zoom in on that 5x and above, you can just see a lot of noise out there, also less detail. So the video of the Pixel 9 Pro XL might be a bit better compared to the Pixel 8 Pro, but I don't believe that is any match to, let's say, the video from the iPhone or the Samsung, and yeah, of course, all the Chinese phones out there like the Vivo or Xiaomi and Oppo. But let me show you some more night samples. I decided to give the Google Pixel 9 Pro XL another chance on another event. Now, the whole takeaway is, when there is a bit more of the light, you might as well get up good footage. And the moment you go to the ultra wide, the sky is going to look unnatural, and all these transitions are still, I would say, quite slow. Take a look here. I'm doing a 360 panning. Not a lot of light, it's not night, it's twilight, but this looks really horrible. Not only in the viewfinder, I was having high hopes that it's going to look better on the end result, but yeah, the video isn't that great. And also, when you start to zoom in, you have to really tap on the object to just get a good exposure, else everything looks so dehazed and so really off. Now, another sample here, guys. Again, if there is a bit of a light, you might as well get some nice footage from the Pixel. But in the end of the day, don't expect to get any miraculous video. It's definitely not on par with the latest offering from China, or even with the Samsung and the iPhones. And now, guys, let's show you some photo samples. And here we have some good news. Luckily, the photo area is just better than the video. What I do like about the new ultra wide is that it's very consistent with everything else. You can see some zoom samples where I'm going from the ultra wide to 1x, 2x, 5x, 10x and 30x, and the footage is very usable. The selfie camera is great too. The skin tone is rendered very accurate, but what I don't like about the portrait photos is the cutout, that is just not perfect. And here are some nice photo samples. They all look great until you start zooming in and nitpicking, because again, we have lack of detail and it's just not really up to the level of the Vivo X100 Ultra and the Xiaomi 14 Ultra and all the competition. But overall, the photos from the Google Pixel 9 Pro XL are good. Nice rendition, nice colors, very accurate skin tone, sharp photos, good texture. The only problem here is the lack of detail. And yes, you can get some fancy result with the Add Me feature. And now it's time about the final conclusion about the Google Pixel 9 Pro XL. And the main question is, should you get one? And before you answer these questions to yourself, you need to ask yourself some other questions like, do you want to game heavily on your phone? Do you want to get the best photos out of your phone? And if you answered with yes on these two questions, then most probably the Google Pixel 9 Pro XL is not for you. But the other question is, then who should buy this phone? Because at the price point of 1,200 euro, it is a pretty expensive phone. But the thing is, guys, if you have a light to moderate usage, let's say watching YouTube, occasionally playing games, doing email, doing socials, if you want to get good camera experience, but not the best out there, right? But a very good point to shoot camera experience, which is very important. If you want to get also a good battery life, a good screen, then why not, right? This phone is for you. But even this should not motivate you to buy the Pixel phone. The highest motivation should be, do you like this interface? Do you like this interface that almost looks like stock Android, the Pixel UI? If you want to use this interface, combined with a light to moderate usage, right, then the answer is yes. Because remember, this phone will get 7 years of updates, and I don't think it's really future-proof with this chip right now. In 3 years, most probably it's going to lag. Of course, we'll have to see through on this, but the thing is, if you're really a fan of the UI, if you can live with all the negative things about this phone, and if you can take up and embrace all the good things, then yes, go ahead and buy this phone. And if you like this review, guys, you know what to do. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Stay safe, VST over, and bye.